Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be a foundation review video. I'm going to be covering 3 different formulas that I've been testing out recently, starting with the Dior Backstage foundation. I purchased this in the shade 1N, and you guys know I love Dior foundations in general. If you didn't know, I love Dior foundations. I don't love the colors. They always are a little too orange, too pink, which is the same for this, I have to say. The color is not the most amazing match, but it's enough for me to enjoy. It's a little more orange than I would prefer, but it's just the way Dior makes their foundations. They just love to make it a little more orange-based, right? But the 1N was perfect. I purchased that in the 1.5, which was way too dark for me. And I really liked the way this shade matched with my skin tone. It's a very light formula, so a very runny, but not, so if you've tried the MAC Face and Body, I wore that years ago, that's very, very watery and very runny. We're talking, that is definitely, you know, very lightweight. This is a little bit thicker than that. To me, this is sheer, probably sheer, but can be built up to be sheer to medium. It's not going to go much, you know, more intense than that, but out of all 3, this is the one I love the most. The other 2, one I really loved, but didn't like how it wore throughout the day, and the other I just was like, ooh, no, it's just not a good formula for me. So this one goes on, and it gives, I don't know, like a nice natural finish. I don't find that I'm too dewy. I don't find that it's exceptionally mattifying. I don't think that it's exceptionally blurring of imperfections. It just kind of looks healthy and like skin. Well, it does blur slightly imperfections. It definitely does a good job of helping to minimize pores, the appearance of pores, and make things look much more, you know, some foundations do an okay job. This does a really nice job of kind of minimizing the appearance of pores. And I just think it looks like fresh, healthy skin. Not too dewy, though. And so talking about how it wears, though, throughout the day, goes on sheer to medium coverage. Like I said, the color range is but definitely nice natural finish. And as it goes throughout the day, it actually stays pretty like consistent. That is what I was really surprised at. Sorry, I have a little itch, like a fuzzy on my face. That's what I was actually pretty surprised at, was a lot of times foundations will just kind of morph throughout the day. Maybe they'll get a little shiny, maybe they'll start to break apart. They just don't look completely the same when you first put it on as at the end of the day. This actually looked very much the same. By the end of the day, my skin looked really much like this. It wasn't really breaking apart. I didn't get very oily. I wore it in a lot of like hot, humid conditions. I didn't find that I got very oily. Didn't find that it would break apart. It doesn't completely, it's not like a medium coverage where it's like a flawless finish. I could definitely see, you know, my skin through it, which I like. But some days I want just a little more coverage. I like a little bit more of a polished finish. And so, I don't know, I really, really enjoy it. I haven't been using it for weeks and weeks, so I've only been using it for about a week and a half, and so I can only speak to it about that. I can't say, you know, after months and months of using it, I really, really love it. I don't know how it's going to wear in the winter and the spring. I have a feeling that it would work on most skin types because I find that it doesn't pull on any dry patches. I don't find that it makes me extra oily. I feel like it's a very easy foundation to put on and use. It's just a matter of finding a color that works, because I know a lot of the shades, like I said, in Dior foundations are really like not that great. But I find that it was quite long wearing. If you want a little more coverage, then you're going to need a concealer, kind of touch up in certain areas. But I definitely think it's very universal compared to some of their other foundations, like the Air Flash or the Dior Forever, which is still a beautiful foundation, but I feel like it's a little bit more mattifying and a little bit more velvety and a little more coverage. This seems just like an easy foundation to kind of throw on, and it'll go great on a lot of different skin types. So that was definitely a win. I'm keeping that one. I'm just going to touch up. I have the new Sicily Stylo Lumiere. It comes in 2 different shades. I'm going to use, there's a more peachy one and a more yellow one. And I'm going to see which one I'm going to use here. Yeah, I want to use the peachier one, which is number 1. And it's very much like a YSL Touche Éclat. It's a little bit of a brightener, but it does have some concealing properties. Like, I definitely find that it does help to kind of cover any darkness or whatnot, but I would not use this to cover any blemishes. This is definitely more of like a highlighting complexion product, definitely something for under the eyes, maybe on the cheekbones, throughout the brow bones like I have here, maybe under the brow, throughout the kind of these lines that kind of come up on the face here. Really, it's very, very lightweight, so it really blends beautifully under the eyes. This is something that's really easy to wear on top of foundation. It's not going to add too much where you're going to feel like, oh my gosh, I have a concealer on top of foundation. Sometimes I like to do foundation, then leave a little bit under my eyes and then add a concealer on top of that. Because I find sometimes if I add concealer on top of tons of foundation underneath my eyes, that's where I can start to get it crepey, or it gets dry, or it's just too much under the eyes. But this is lightweight enough that I can put on a full face foundation and then throw this on just to kind of brighten under the eyes, and it doesn't cake up. It's so lightweight, and it helps keep my under eye area looking very smooth, bright, and hydrated. All right, I'm going to finish up the rest of my makeup, and then we'll talk about the other 2 foundations that I tested. One was a win, but didn't wear well throughout the day, and the other one was like, no, definitely not. Okay, makeup is done. Let's get on to the 2 other foundations that I tried. The first is the Benefit Hello Happy Soft Blur Foundation. I tried the shade number 3. It was a little too dark, and it's a light medium coverage, liquid foundation, broad spectrum SPF sunscreen. I didn't like this at all. It went on, it was almost had the same texture and thickness as the Dior. I think the main difference is the Dior has this natural aspect to it. It looks slightly matte, but still slightly fresh. It manages to kind of straddle the best of both worlds. This just looked very flat on my skin. It looked very flat. As the day went on, I found that it settled into my pores. It just looked like I had makeup on. I don't know. It just didn't get exceptionally shiny. I just know that I remember looking at my skin at the end of the day, and I was like, my face just looks ugh. It didn't do anything to enhance my skin. I would say it's around more of a sheer to sheer medium coverage. It did give a good amount of coverage, but the color was very, very yellow, number 3. It was like a tad too dark, but I made it work. But this was not a win for me at all. Now, one that I was on the fence about, and I wore it a few more times, and I finally moved over to no, because initially it was yes, and it actually was my favorite out of all 3. And then unfortunately, after wearing it for more and more time, it turned into a big no. The Becca Skin Love Weightless Blur Foundation. Well, I shouldn't say big no. I should say that I just couldn't seem to make it work enough. Now, the color I have is vanilla. It's a perfect shade for me. It is more of like inching towards a medium coverage. And it's, as compared to the Benefit Blur Foundation, this is definitely more of a blurring foundation. Like, you put it on and it gives this very velvety finish. This felt a little more liquidy. I just didn't feel that velvety, smooth airbrush finish. This looked very velvety, very smooth, very blurred, very airbrushed. And it was absolutely stunning. It still looked not too matte. It was the kind of velvety finish that I really like. But what happened for me, unfortunately, was as I would wear it throughout the day, no matter what I would do, if I would try to set it with a powder, if I wore it indoors, if I wore it outdoors, whatever way I wore it, by the end of the day, it was separating around my T-zone. It was falling into my pores. There was one day that it got really, really shiny. I looked in the mirror and I was like, oh my goodness, I looked like a grease ball. And then the other day I looked in, and it had fallen into my pores, and you could really see like little dots everywhere, and it was beginning to separate. And I just, no matter how many times I worked with it, I couldn't get past 2 to 3 hours with it not starting to kind of the wheels fall off. And that was really disappointing. The Dior, though, I can get, it pretty much looks like this all day long. And it stays so, I don't know, it's just got great staying power. And this, the Becca was my favorite, as I said, when I first started. And this was my second favorite. But when I saw how well this wore throughout the day and how fresh my skin stayed looking, meaning more of a natural freshness, not too matte, not too dewy, not too anything. It was just nice looking skin. And then this shot up to the top, and then of course the benefit, just no. I mean, the packaging is so really cute, the little like cute little smiley face on it. And I really wanted this to work, but no. I had a feeling that Dior would work simply because Dior foundations pretty much always work for me. I really love them. The color is not ideal. I still feel like it's a little orange, but I'm okay with that. I'll deal with it because I love the formula so much. And yeah, so I'd love to know if you guys have tried any of these and what your thoughts are. I think the Becca Skin Love, I feel like this would be best for, I think the Dior would be best for all skin types. I really think this would be better on more drier skin. Though if you have oily skin, let me know if you've tried it and it's worked for you. But I feel like the drier skin types would get more use out of this simply because how shiny it got on me. This benefit, I really don't know. If you've had a good experience with it, please let me know. Please let me know your skin type and what was your experience using it. I'd love to hear if someone, if someone had a good experience with it, I'd love to hear that as well. So I will go ahead and link everything that I talked about down below, as well as the Sicily highlighting pens. I don't know if I showed this, that it's a little spongy tip at the top rather than a brush, which I actually like even more because it really just, I don't know, it feels nice to put on skin that way, that spongy tip. And I'll link my makeup, all the pieces in my makeup that I wore. And oh my gosh, I haven't worn, I don't know if you can see, oh yes, the Fenty Beauty Yacht Stick or Yacht Life sticks that she made. I have that on my cheeks today, as well as the Tom Ford bronzing stick. I don't know if that's still available, but if it is, I'll find it and link it below. And let me know if you tried any of these, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Take care. Bye-bye.